unless your house is burned down and you don't have anything that you started with at the beginning of the day, shut the hell up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Secondly, if you have not lived in Los Angeles and you don't know anything about Los Angeles or the surrounding areas, shut the hell up because you don't know what you're talking about. Thirdly, if you're a celebrity who has been in trouble for privatizing water, like Khloe Kardashian, and then wants to act like Karen Bass is the worst thing walking, when you're literally have been hoarding water and been cited for it, shut the hell up.
A Black Executive Perspective now presents Need to Know with the award-winning hyphenated Dr. Nsenga Burton. Dr. Burton, what do we need to know?
Good afternoon and welcome to Need to Know with Dr. Nsenga Burton. I am she. It is good to see you today. I'm going to be talking about dog whistles because people don't understand what that means, right? Dog whistling, is a term that is used when there's something to distract you, or something thrown out there to distract you from what's really important or what you really should be paying attention to. For example, the LA fires, and they keep calling them the LA fires, but they're actually happening around California. It's not just Los Angeles, it's Malibu, it's Pacific Palisades, it's Eaton, it's Altadena. So they're all over those different areas, and they're not necessarily in Los Angeles, the city of, but they are in Los Angeles County, right? So there are lots of people who have been online just going off on LA's mayor, Karen Bass, who's actually very esteemed, has had a long congressional career, um, uh, a career in politics and service and community service and all those things. And, in my opinion, when she ran for LA mayor, I thought that was a step down for her, because she is so esteemed and highly regarded in other communities. However, she wanted to make a difference. She loves her city. That's what it is. So she did what she had to do and she got elected. Subsequently, people have been saying really horrible things about her and laying the entire fire situation at her feet when she is literally only the mayor of Los Angeles. She is not the mayor of Altadena. She's not the mayor of Malibu. She's not the mayor of Pacific Palisades. She's not the mayor of Eaton. I have lived in Los Angeles. I went to school there. I have family there. I'm back and forth there quite a bit. I work in film. So I know LA pretty well. I've run some programs there even. So I know LA pretty well. And I think people who are outside of Los Angeles don't realize how sprawling and big it is. And really don't even understand the geography. They don't understand the wind situation. They don't understand the drought situation. They don't even understand that water is privatized there, right? It has been historically. And so water has always been an issue. So water pressure and things like that, that you would normally have under the guise of under the hands of your local government. In a lot of areas, that is not the case. So you first don't even know what you're talking about, but secondly, I just find it fascinating that in times of strain and dire straits, that the happy place for a lot of people is to blame the Black woman. And yes, she is the mayor of Los Angeles. She is in charge of a lot of things. She even had a fire chief, and all this, blew up after the fire chief really tried to pass the buck. And the fire chief, who actually predates her. But we won't talk about that. But the fire chief, who's had a lot more experience in that area, and should not be buck passing. And if you or I, and Tony can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if you go on television and you throw your boss under the bus, there's very high probability that you might not have a job when you get back. But she's remaining employed. And instead of paying attention to what is happening, people are now focusing on what she has said, which is that we've been in disagreement and we know how to handle the situation. And she cut the budget by $17 million. The budget was $817 million. So there is an additional $800 million that Los Angeles Fire Department got or received. They also, Los Angeles, and it is kind of singular in this way, use prison labor to fight fires because they are that prevalent. They are that prevalent. They happen all the time. And this is not to diminish what is happening. They have not been to this extent, as devastating to this extent, um, ever. And so instead of focusing on things we need to focus on, like, okay, if this is going to be happening because of climate change, what could we be doing differently so that we can prevent this from happening? How are we going to help people rebuild? Most people keep talking about, oh, well, these rich people, their houses burned down, they don't need insurance, they can just rebuild. Many of the people who are displaced are not rich. Altadena, for example, is home to uh, a black middle class at one point, and definitely working class now. So those folks have lost everything. They've lost everything. And so some people need help. A lot of people need help. They all need help. I mean, even if you're a millionaire, if you you don't have a house to go home to, that's a problem. Yeah, you can get a hotel. Yeah, you can probably go to a friend's house. You might have family or whatever. But, homes, as we know, people pass up jobs. They leave spouses. They stay in their homes so that their kids can have greater opportunities. They live in neighborhoods they don't even want to live in, around people they don't even like and don't like them. Right. So you have all of these attachments to homes, and people are like, eh. So, which leads me back to the dog whistle. Unless your house is burned down and you don't have anything that you started with at the beginning of the day, shut the hell up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Secondly, if you have not lived in Los Angeles and you don't know anything about Los Angeles or the surrounding areas, shut the hell up, because you don't know what you're talking about. Thirdly, if you're a celebrity who has been in trouble for privatizing water, like Khloe Kardashian, and then wants to act like, Karen Bass is the worst thing walking, when you're literally have been hoarding water, and been cited for it, shut the hell up. Dog whistles are things that distract us from what we need to do. We need to figure out how to help these folks. We need to figure out how to help them rebuild. We need to find these folks who are losing their lives. There are people in rubble. There are dogs coming out of rubble. All kinds of things are happening. People can't find their pets. They can't find their parents. And you talking about getting rid of the mayor. How is that going to be helpful? I'll wait. Fire the fire chief. Okay, and I've heard that too, and I don't think they should fire the fire chief. But how's that going to be helpful? What are those calls going to do? And then to be doing that when we have somebody ascending to power after 1 million people died on his watch because he threw out the handbook that was given to him because he didn't like it. And y'all are talking about getting rid of Karen Bass, who has spent her entire life taking care of the people of California and Los Angeles, is ridiculous. So I'm just going to say, you probably already figured it out. I know you heard it 10 million times. Black women are not with the shits in 2025. We're just not with it. You're not going to continue to keep your foot on the neck. Oh, please come save our city. Help us. We need your leadership. We need this. Oh my God, save us from ourselves. And then the first time something goes wrong or something unprecedented happens, there is no playbook because it's unprecedented. It's the black woman's fault. Mismanagement. She doesn't know. She cut the $800 million. If you know anything about wins, and people in the Midwest know about win, just call your cousin in Detroit. Call your cousin in Chicago. Ask them about the wind and what that does to weather. And when you're trying to stop something or put a plug in something or whatever, and you getting hit in the face with 100-mile-per-hour winds, 80-mile-per-hour winds, 60-mile-per-hour winds. There's little footage of people flying around poles, grabbing poles so they don't fly away into Lake Michigan. It's real. So if you don't have wind like that where you live, shut the hell up. What you can do is figure out how you can support people, right? What can you do? How can you send money? Do you have access to resources and tools? You can take note. Think about what's going on in your part of the region, in your part of the country. What's coming for you that's going to be unprecedented because we refuse to acknowledge climate change? Why is Memphis having more snow than Boston? So you ain't got to be a scientist. I listen to scientists. I know we don't do that anymore. We're anti-intellectual people with PhDs that, have spend their whole lives studying something and trying to make a difference. They don't know what they're talking about. But you just answered that question. Common sense. Memphis had more snow than Boston. And you think it's okay. But you want it, and your response is get rid of Karen Bass. Get out of here. So I think we need to know to stay in our lane and mind our business when we don't know what the hell we're talking about. I also think we need to avoid dog whistles, particularly with the person who's ascending to power in this country, who uses dog whistles to deflect from any type of harm that is being caused at the time. I think we need to know that we are not here. We Black women. I usually don't speak for the whole collective, but I feel okay saying it now. We are not here to be your whipping post. We did that for 400 years. You got a powerful country out of it. You're welcome, but we're not doing that shit no more. So find another target. Find another target and really get yourselves together. Focus on what's important, and that is saving these people, helping them reestablish their lives, making sure the insurance companies are not cutting them off, as particularly when they paid into policies for 50, 60, 70 years. Be an advocate, not an asshole. Thank you. So tune in next week to Need to Know. And tune in next week to a Black Executive Perspective podcast. Excuse the bad language, but I'm really mad about it. I'll do better next week, Tony. And I want you to have a wonderful, productive, constructive, well-intentioned, and well-meaning day. Goodbye.
A Black Executive Perspective.